All right, I'm checking, I'm making sure everything is live. Yet again, streaming on multiple sites, and we're good there. I hear it through the speakers. We're streaming on both the TrueDFS, the PayDirt channel, and my own personal YouTube channel. And I'm just doing this to let everybody know in case they haven't been here for the news and the merger of everything. TrueDFS merged into PayDirt. James McCool's PayDirt Intuitive Analytics company and stuff at the start of February. If you have a TrueDFS subscription through us, through your SaberSim stuff, all that'll be available to you until the end of February, and then that site will no longer be operational. And or all the stuff that you would find at TrueDFS in terms of Bobby's coverage, in terms of Sheets' coverage, some of my coverage, and all that stuff that'll be found at PayDirt, which you can get, a month or 50. You can get your first, I believe, subscription. I believe let me just read it really quick. It's your first month, 50% off your first month with the code PD Welcome that you see in the description here. If you are a TrueDFS current subscriber and you haven't yet, migrate over to PayDirt. You do get a free month of PayDirt if you were with us before the merger and everything that happened. All right, guys. I mean, this is the legit start of the season. We have a grand total of let's see, 2 hours and 26 minutes until the slate locks. I need to upload my projections to the TrueDFS website. I'm waiting for James to make one adjustment on his stuff because he was, let me get this here. Let me get my file in here and everything. Because he was adjusting some stuff earlier today, and we actually didn't get a chance to, or I wasn't aware of that. And when I went to upload everything to PayDirt, none of it is pulling through, so that'll be fixed momentarily. I'd been kind of troubleshooting that on my own for like 10 minutes here before I realized that he had changed stuff on the back end. Let me get this set over here, and while I am finishing up the last little projections and stuff here, let me do one more thing here. While I am finishing up that, if you guys have any questions, any thoughts and opinions in the chat, go ahead and type them now so we can go ahead and look at that when I finish this here. Okay, got that. Now I just need the slate IDs. And yet again, with the little hiccup that I had with uploading stuff to the site is kind of why I'm finishing up the, what is it? Okay, ID and slate ID. Okay, cool. That's why I'm kind of finishing this right now. And then I need the slate ID. All right, I should have all of that done. So let's go there. Let me upload this. Okay, so the projections are now on TrueDFS. If you have the description, or if you have the subscription for that, that'll be uploaded to, or they'll be pulled into SaberSim in probably 10 or so minutes. Now I'm done with that. We can talk ownership. Yet again, I'm waiting for James to update a thing on the back end that goes to his website. So I apologize for the wait there. But we can just talk about the okay, there we go. We can just talk about the grid. And I mean, we have a pretty decent idea of where ownership is going to go. Obviously, this is an absolute King Kong. Like, I mean, this is the King Kong 250. I mean, we have so many just amphibians in this race that I would be shocked if we don't see total calamity in this race. I mean, when you look at the entry list of this event, I mean, this is a huge entry list in terms of guys who are decent at these tracks, guys who are very aggressive, guys who don't really give any room or support. I mean, let's just go through, and I'll get to the ownership in a second, or at least my thoughts and stuff. But let's just go through the actual contenders for this race. Okay, you have Ty Majeski, McDowell, both Gray brothers, Hocevar, Infinger, Chandler Smith, Stewart, Haley, Nemechek, okay, Stewart, Friesen, Rhodes, Stenhouse, Hemrick, and I'm missing one more, Lane Riggs, okay. That's 15 guys that I've just mentioned there who are going to be extremely aggressive, who are going to be competing for a top 10 finish, who are really not going to show like any respect on this track at any given point. Okay. Yet again, we have 2 early stages of 20 laps each. That means the first stage, if we get a yellow in the first stage is going to be like 8 green flag laps. Stage 2 starts with like, 14 laps left in the stage. Okay, so we're going to have multiple restarts. Even if we don't have yellows in the first 2 stages, we're still going to have multiple restarts in the first half of this event. And I don't really foresee guys going a lap down, even if you're extremely slow, because we sent so many slow cars home. Okay. So everybody should be on the lead lap for a majority of this race. Okay. So I mentioned the guys who actually had skill there. Let's break down the list of Neanderthals who cause crashes. I just got word that it seems like the PayDirt models are now live. Let me see here. Let me respond to James really fast. Okay, whatever. Let me make sure that this is live on the site now. And then that's really the last thing I had to worry about. I still got to build all my lineups. Probably going to be here for about 40 minutes. Okay, cool. Everything is live on PayDirt now. And I need, that's fine. I gotta look over. I gotta kind of eyeball some stuff really fast to make sure that nothing is completely broken here. 90. Okay, I need to limit those guys. Kind of the last thing I've been working on is true ceiling performances of people here. I want to make one last adjustment, kind of doing this live here. Oh, actually, I actually pulled both slates here. Whoops. Let me make sure here. Sorry, I'm checking one last thing on the site really fast here. Okay, let me update this one thing here. Need to adjust some ceiling variables here. I'll be done with this momentarily, then I'll check out the site or the chat and see if anybody is yip-yapping at all. All right, so that's there. Okay, that should fix any bugs I don't like there. Okay, cool. So that's working. Okay, let me look at the chat and see what anybody's saying here. I'm sure we have a ton of comments and stuff since we're on so many different streams right now. Hello, Thomas. Thank you. I appreciate that. Good evening, Andy. BVB, happy to see you again. With so many you take down this year. You probably did a good. Well, I mean, last year was pretty rough. I do hate to say that Goldie was the one exception on the merger. Goldie is not coming over to PayDirt. He will still probably do stuff privately with Sheets and other people, but his projections will not be available at PayDirt. Glad that you think the merger is fantastic here. And I'm just going through everybody so we can see the chat and everything here. This is the first real question here, so let's see. I don't see any reason why we would have any true mechanical failures at this moment, just because we ran practice. We ran, let me check this last thing here. What is going on with this thing here, dude? Gotta do one last update on the ceiling variables here. Let me do one last pull here. Okay, yeah, I don't really see a reason why there would be anybody that is not gonna finish the race. I mean, due to mechanical failures, I mean, I'm not really concerned. I mean, we had practice, like we had practice, you know, the once a year practice for all the teams. Now, granted, we had a lot of people stuck in the tech line, but we had practice. Everybody queued. We really don't have any quote unquote bad trucks in here in this event. So I'm not really concerned about people just having to pull off. Now, if people overheat or whatever, you know, that's on them. But I'm not really concerned about that. What I was going to say is when we're looking at, you know, true like Neanderthals and stuff in this race of who has a high likelihood of crashing, who has a high likelihood of DNFing, let's go through that list really fast. And so when I mentioned the, you know, the good drivers in this event, we had 15. These are the drivers who I would foresee being involved in a wreck due to their own stupidity. Okay, we have Lane Riggs, we have Hemrick, Daniel Dye, Stenhouse, Andres, Chris Wright, probably Friesen, LaJoy, Haley, Stewart, both Gray brothers again, Travis, Cletus, Hocevar, and I would say McDowell are like your main contenders of like being involved in just full on like dick measuring stupidity. Okay. Yet again, we have a 37 car field today where we have nearly half the field labeled as like idiots. And I'm making sure this last thing is up here. Okay. That is much more like it. Okay, I was able to get that done there. If you go to, if you're a PayDirt subscriber and your range of outcomes, let me go ahead and type this in the Discord as well. Okay. What I was just typing here is if you are a PayDirt subscriber, please use the secondary slate as the slate that you're looking at, and with the range of outcomes. Those are the ones that I'm very pretty satisfied with. If you guys go ahead and do anything there. And let me do this last thing there. Okay, cool. Let's see. Let me do this last update to the site. Okay, I got that finally finished as well. We're looking at 2 hours and 15 minutes until the start of the slate. I'm personally running 150 lines, maxed out the 10 and everything. So who am I working with? Who am I playing with? What are the guys that I'm using, and so on and so forth? Well, when we look at where ownership should go in the back of the field, Stenhouse and Lane Riggs should be the two highest owned guys. After that, it will most likely then go Hemrick, Ben Rhodes, Friesen. I would then lean towards Nemechek and Corey LaJoie being there, and I would not be shocked to see Stenhouse, Hemrick, and Riggs all be over 50% owned, if not slightly more, or at least in the 40s. But I would not be shocked if we saw them get into the 50s. Now, we have a lot of people in the back of the field who are absolutely, they need the field to crash out, right? They need carnage to actually gain positions. Reum, Frankie, Spencer Boyd, Jason White, these are guys who are not going to gain positions on their own. If you believe that this race goes green, if you believe that there's not a lot of chaos, those drivers are just not in play. They have no chance to do anything, right? And they're going to need quite a lot of assistance with carnage and stuff. And so I would imagine that a vast majority of lineups are going to be very heavy on, obviously, you know, Stenhouse, Hemrick, Lane Riggs, probably Mini Terrell and stuff, and then Rayum Dye, Frankie Boyd, White. Those individual drivers that I just mentioned will probably be anywhere from 16 to 22% owned. But I think the big chunk of where ownership and where optimizers and everything are going to go are probably going to be between Queen, Friesen, Nick Lights, Rhodes, and Andre Perez. And then after that, I mean, it's probably going to be like Haley and Stewart actually carrying ownership in this event. And so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I count LaJoie, Nemechek, Friesen, Rhodes, Stenhouse, Hemrick, and Lane Riggs, those 7 drivers, 5 of those will be in your highest owned lineup. At least 4 probably. It'll probably be Rhodes, Stenhouse, Hemrick, and Lane Riggs. So what do you do to get different? I mean, I would have very heavily, 1, root for them to crash out. Like, you know, turn on your TV and just hope those idiots wreck out. 2, I would really depend on how many lineups you're doing. If you're running 20, you know, I spend a majority of my time building lineups for these slates, which is 20 lineups and stuff, and I'd run those in everything. And I would pretty much always have 70 to 65% of people, right? This is not a slate that I would want to do that on, because I think the volatility of this and the outcome of each individual driver is very, very up in the air today. And when we're looking at how each driver can perform in this race, you know, already with the baseline of, you know, we typically see on plate races, you know, 70-75% of the field get damaged in some form or fashion, whether that means you're out of the race or you just have damage that you repair in the pit lane. I don't really see that being any different today. And the people who have the most ownership, you know, Stenhouse, Lane Riggs, Daniel Hemrick, are going to be up front at some point in this race. I would assume probably at, you know, in stage 2, if not stage 1, competing for the win, being the drivers who are causing the incidents, causing the volatility and stuff. So in terms of exposure rates, whether you're doing 20 or more lineups, I would probably cap my exposure rate to like 52 on like any driver. I mean, when I'm looking at my approach, right? If I got 150 lines, I don't really need 75 lineups with one guy. Okay. I probably want them probably lower to like 65, 60. So maybe even less than 50 for me personally. If I'm focusing on my lineups, if you're doing 20, I think you cap it at like 55. So 11 out of your 20 with one driver or something. Because like those guys are going to be like just competing for, you know, they're going to be competing to, you know, see if these idiots get to see if they wreck themselves. I have to do so. The way that I do this in SaberSim is this actually takes me a really, really long time to do in SaberSim, because I basically have to run everything and then tell SaberSim I don't want any assistance at all. I have to manually go in and then change projections for everybody. So I'm not going to do this on stream. I'm just going to kind of talk about what my exposures should most likely look like here. So I am going to use SaberSim's ownership just really fast. I want to see kind of where they're at. And so obviously they're really high on Lane Riggs, Hemrick, Stenhouse, Ben Rhodes. Well, I just said that like crazy. I would really like to not do like limiting Lane Riggs, Hemrick, Stenhouse, Rhodes, Friesen. Like it's not like I'd make a rule to like, oh, give me 2 of those guys or max 2 or whatever, because those guys, all those guys are very correlated with each other, right? Like if Lane Riggs and Hemrick are doing well, I mean, real chance that Ben Rhodes is going to finish well in this race. Real chance that Stenhouse is finishing well in this race, because these guys are all correlated together. Like if they wreck, they're probably all beside each other involved in the wreck. If they survive the race, they're all beside each other. Um, you know, in this race, right? And so I wouldn't necessarily like start making like rules or anything about that. I would just be very aware of the correlation there. Um, I think and I'm not really gonna be helpful here, but I really think other than Stenhouse, Hemrick, Riggs, Rhodes, and Friesen, like from 22nd on back, I'm probably gonna like 3x on like everybody back there. Um, I would be really shocked if I have like 10% of anybody. I should have a pool of probably 17, 18 drivers and like minimum 20% on like each of them. That's probably what I'm going to do. Let me see what else is being said here. Yeah, I mean, I had a really successful DFS season last year. Took down a lot of like actual big tournaments across various sports. Like I took down a PGA contest, multiple NFL stuff. NBA. I mean, it was a crazy good season last year. Yeah, thank God. Like this guy, like get him. I'm so glad we got him out of the race. Like I don't want Brian in that race slowing anybody down. Let me see here. Let's see. All right. Let's see what else is going on here. Let's see if I can show. No, I don't even want to show anything on the screen here. If you've been around long enough, I mean, you already know that like probably my favorite plays today, Reum, Jason White, Boyd, Frankie, Daniel Dye, Chris Wright, Cole Butcher, Jason Kit Miller. Seems like great plays to me. Nobody knows who these guys are. Like, those are the people who I'm going to be the highest on and stuff. I can't imagine anything else. I would not. Okay, so this is the other thing. I mean, clearly, like you never want to play guys in the top 10 here. I just don't even understand. I can't even envision how anybody in like the top 9 would be optimal today. If you just look at good drive, even if this race goes green, you want to play Haley, you want to play Nemechek. Like you want to play those 2 guys over anybody in the top 9 or in the start in the top 9. Like I just don't even understand how anybody in the top 9 can work. And I know I always say it when we're at these plate races. Hopefully it's Wreckfest, whatever. But like this is just a race that I just can't even understand how they don't just have like fucking 11 yellows today. I just don't know how that doesn't happen. Like Stewart, like I'm able to watch my favorite driver race again, Kevin Tony. Kevin Tony's back in the field. And I think he fucking dies. Like I think he's gonna get wrecked. Like there's no way Stewart finishes this race. Like there's no way on God's green earth that Stewart is not involved in a crash tonight. Like Cletus, like there's just no. And I love Cletus McFarland, right? Like sorry, I think everybody's just jealous that they have a shitty life and they can't afford to just buy rides. Like, can we do a trifecta? Can we do an in game, a single game parlay of Tony Stewart, McFarlane, Pastrana, and Stenhouse all DNF? Like, what are the odds on that? I mean, that's probably minus like 120 or whatever. Like that. That's a high likelihood of those guys all wrecking out. I think this could be an absolute clusterfuck, man. I really, really do. And so, going back, if actually let me just run Saberson kind of naked here. I just want to see what exposure rates we're getting on the big guys in the back of the field to have an idea of where everybody's at here. And I just want to see what. I mean, it's just so massive on lane. Hello, positive EV play. Just don't play Lane Riggs. Don't play Stenhouse. If you're building more than probably 35 lineups, have some exposure to them because you can cover your bases with that. But like, there's just no reason to have those guys in lineups here. Let me go ahead and work here really quick. Let me get my DraftKings entries here. I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right, I guess there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm gonna build 18. I'm gonna hand build 18 lineups today. I think that's a good. I think that is a good little amount, right? And then I'm going to split my 150 entirely and do, 50 in one 5, 40 in the other 5, 20 in the 4. So I'm ideally I'm going to have every lineup in 2 contests by the end of the day. Oops, I didn't mean to click that. Let's see. Okay, so like when you're looking at plate races, the good drivers in the back of the field, because they're good drivers, they're in good equipment, they are the favorites to score extremely well. You are going to see, so like Lane Riggs starting 35th today. I would expect him to be running 8th on lap 7 today. Okay? And Lane Riggs will probably run in 8th position the entire race. If Lane Riggs gets into 8th position, and I'm not even entirely sure what. Let me look. I'm giving Lane Riggs. I have him projected right now to, run like 10th all day, right? And that's going to roughly be around 46 to 54 points. If he does any better than that, he's going to. But like Lane Riggs, by like drop of the green flag, he just has 48 points on him. That's just what his score is, right? He has the highest ceiling of anybody in this race and the highest floor of anybody in this race, okay? But yet again, we are focused on taking advantage of the DFS field that we're playing against, okay? Lane Riggs should be the highest owned driver, okay? Because he has the highest floor, the highest ceiling, a median projection of like fucking 38, right? I give him, I have him at 48 straight points. Most likely he's going to be like scoring 50 all day, okay? He's optimal, right? He has a very high optimal hit rate, okay? His ownership is going to be very high, probably 58, 62, 63, I would imagine, if it's slightly higher, whatever. You look at that ownership and then look at the volatility of this race. And if every driver has a 75% chance to be involved in a crash, why play a driver who has 65% of the field behind him, right? So from a game theory perspective, you want lane race to crash today. Okay, you apply that same mentality with the other popular chalk plays in this race: Stenhouse, Ben Rhodes, Daniel Hemrick, John Henry Nemechek, Justin Haley. And then, like, that's how you get, like, unique. That's how you get off chalk. You just have to sit down and watch this race and hope all the high owned guys get taken out in crashes. That's literally what these races come down to. It's literally, I can't even think of a similar type of gambling to this, because it's like you just show up and then you just literally just root for everybody. You're the guy nobody likes on craps. You're just literally playing for them to bust and you make money. Like, you're playing against what other people are playing for and what the projections are playing for. And so in terms of this question, so is Riggs your number one, or would you fade him for somebody else? I would highly encourage you to be underweight on all of the good plays, because there's such a high volatility that they're involved in a crash and that they get taken out and stuff. Like, that's how you should race. I mean, AD brings up a great example, which, shout out, happy to see you again. Chris Live, and I mean, I know you mentioned it with your tweet about the fucking money lines and stuff, but Chris Wright, this guy is like a convicted moron on several full-blown ARCA crashes, right? And taking people out. Also, sidestep, what? If first off, I was so disappointed Casey Mears didn't just plow into Corey LaJoie. Oh, I was watching that. Like, as soon as that wreck happened, I saw where Mears was, and I was like, please, Lord, just let Mears T-bone and injure Corey LaJoie or driver anyway. Like, the fact that he made through that, kind of bullshit, right? But that's like the first ever ARCA break that everybody's like happy about. Like, if you want to see the exact same thing that Casey Mears did, literally just look up any truck race Jennifer Jo Cobb was in. She never lifts for crashes, right? Chris Wright, convicted moron. Chris Wright, with this car, he is going to be in 12th, 10th, 9th position today. He is going to cause a wreck, right? Who are the good cars and the good teams in this race? Everybody we've been talking about. The popular plays on the slate. Where are they going to be? They're going to be at the front of the field. Where's Chris Wright going to be? They're going to be at the front of the field. Where are the King Kongs, who are more balls than brains, going to be? At the front of the field. Like, I just don't know how we, honest to God, don't have 11 yellows in this race. Like, there are so many morons here. Yeah, and I would totally fade chalk in the I would totally play chalk. And yes, please, play Jason White. Tyrell has no experience on a track this big, right? Literally has no fucking clue what he's doing. He's starting last, throw him in. Who even cares? Nothing even matters anymore. Pastrana, I think when you look at Pastrana, I think he would be safe for the first two stages. I really, really don't think that Travis or Cletus, for that matter, would put themselves in a bad situation right off the bat to start the race, okay? Because they're both here because their sponsors wanted them both there. You only make them happy if you can be there at the end. Now, I think they both get wrecked out, okay? But I really don't think Travis or Cletus get involved in a wreck early. I think they're contenders to finish very close to where they start. Now, yet again, you look at the scoring for DraftKings. Does that work from a DraftKings perspective. Not really, because you're going to have so many guys from the backfield gaining 10, 12 positions that, starting 15th and finishing 17th is not going to do anything. It's not going to hurt you, but I don't know if they're going to compete to be optimal. But they're far superior. They're far superior than anybody starting in the top 9. So I would play them heavily over anybody in the top 9. Your min salary on SaberSim, just fucking move it to 0. It doesn't even matter. There is no min salary in this race. I can promise you right now, I will be playing lineups that have 200 on the table, and then lineups that have 1,000 on the table. Just move it to big old 0. My cutoff, because I think we have 37 cars in this race. I think it's gonna be like 14th. I really do. I think I'm gonna extend that quite a lot today. Mainly because I don't. If I'm underweight on Lane Riggs, Hemrick, Stenhouse, Ben Rhodes, Stewart, I mean, that's 5 people from 37th to 24th that I'm kind of not using. I kind of have to make up those positions. So I'm moving my cutoff line slightly higher than normal, Mike. Do you not take, because there's, okay, so, I don't really know what you mean by that, because I am a pretty big Pastrana fan and stuff. And I don't like he's here because like he wants to race, right? But it's also a one-off. He wants to at least be there at the end. I don't see that. I don't see why he would wreck out early. I just really can't see him wrecking out early. I think Travis is a classic. I mean, you look back at his race that he's wrecked out in, even going back in the 20 teens and stuff, and the 500 from 2 years ago and stuff. Travis is a perfect contender to be involved in the white flag crash, and I think that's probably what happens. I think Travis is involved in a crash and in probably the final 10% of this race. But I'm not necessarily not playing anybody due to his back, which is fine, and his antics. I mean, I don't know what antics mean. The reason you could do is antics is because you're one of the most talented guys ever, right? Like, would you count Ken Block and his Hoonigan stuff as antics? Like that, I think that's just a huge display of like raw talent. Same thing with like Cletus. Like Cletus is not a bad driver. Okay, just because you don't race racing cars a lot doesn't mean you don't have talent as a driver, right? I think Cletus is in contention to be involved in a crash in the second half of the race. I am not, just because it seems to me that yes, Ram is new, but they are funded directly from the manufacturer. They have a ton of money backing it. I mean, nearly every Ram truck just has fucking Ram on the truck. Like this is a between Colleague and Ram. I think they have so much money invested in here that yes, Mini Terrell didn't queue on time, gets in through the OEM, whatever. I would be completely floored if they are actually like bad, because they have so much backing from Ram. I mean, that whole stupid television show, like you don't throw the budget to make that and do everything if you're not gonna like show up to like that'd be fucking funny, right? Like if you did Race for the Seat, you got like 3 million budgeted for that stuff between all the cars, all the antics and shit they got to do, and they're like, oh, you know what? Run this truck on like $500,000 for the year, like that. I just can't imagine Ram would do that. So I have to imagine they are just throwing millions and millions at everything involved in this. So I would not be concerned about the reliability of the trucks. I would be much more concerned about the talent of the drivers in the vehicles. But that's like, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure Haley's in a Ram truck. Let me make sure. Like, Nobody has to answer this. I just want to make sure here. Yeah, like Haley's in the college Ram truck. Like he's not going to drive an underfunded vehicle or like a vehicle that's going to mess up. Like Stewart would not be here. Like they specifically wanted him here, right? Like these guys are just not gonna not compete. All right, let's see what else is going on here. Would we be advised to gun for either really high total ownership or really low total ownership, trying to grind proxies for correlation? I have no idea what you're talking about. Like I have no clue what you're speaking there. Normally, like just in DFS in general, you want to make pivots and stuff. But I never ever rank. I've never even looked at my lineups in a term of total ownership. Like during my entire DFS career, that is a calculation that I just never even look at for any sport of anything. So I know what you mean, or I know what you're talking about, but the reason I said I don't know what you're talking about is because I've just never gone through that approach. So me giving an opinion on that, good or bad, is probably worse than just no opinion. I think you want total low ownership, but that is what I would say here. Thank you, Andrew. Happy to see you. Pirate, happy to see you back. Trying to group similar position drivers within the so like and yet again, I spent so many years hand building these races. I'm only focused on what my exposure rate is at the end of my stuff. Like I just don't know if let me see. Actually, let me look really fast. So like, my optimals on this slate, like I am going to show this, right? We'll go ahead and show this, right? So this is what you get access to on PayDirt, right? Or this is just one of the things you get access to, right? So this is based on my projections for this race, right? And this is based on the projections that I make for NASCAR. So if we're looking at this in any NASCAR week, right? These are my top lineups. We're here looking at, my projected optimal lineups for this slate, right? These are lineups that will be played today. These are lineups that project the best. These are the best drivers based on where they are starting in these races, based on the data that I'm throwing in. Because we'll even go here and look at, this is more so. I wasn't going to show this, but we'll show it for the top guys since they're the top guys, right? Like Stenhouse, right? Even just look at, and you can go here by getting off of that and looking at advanced metrics here. Yet again, we're on the secondary slate. We were doing some stuff on the back end. This pulled both. I filled both these up on the back end, but the secondary is the one that I started on working for this race. So if you're building anything, you please use the secondary stuff. When we look at these drivers here, let me make sure what time it is. We got an hour and 44 minutes. Perfect. When we look at these drivers here, Stenhouse, Riggs, Nemechek, Hemrick, LaJoy, Stewart, right? All these guys here, they're projected to be the best guys on the slate, not just from a median perspective, although this is, I use one projection. I don't use median projections. That's where it's listed here. But you look at their ceilings and they have a pretty decent range of both. Why is Nemechek at a 0 floor? Because he's technically, starting mid-pack. If he crashes out, he's going to be in the negatives. Whereas, like, if Hemrick crashes out, if Stenhouse crashes out, if Lane Riggs crashes out because they're starting so far back, their floor is just there. Like, they're going to end with, like, 3 points, right? So they're much safer than guys starting farther up. Secondly, on that, when we're looking at the optimal lineups that I was speaking about, that's why these guys are showing up in these situations. We then look at, I haven't even gone through anything yet. These aren't lines that I'm playing, right? We look at SaberSim because I was kind of dicking around with my stuff, right? We look at SaberSim's ownership. Where are they given those are mine? Where are they given the highest projections for? Riggs, Hemrick, so on and so forth, right? That means that lineups using these guys, which are probably going to be lineups like this on your screen, are going to be used by a good portion of the field, right? And anytime they're like, oh, let's do a min unique 2, min unique 1, whatever, it's still going to be a core of these drivers here, right? Yet again, going back, where are these drivers going to be in this race? They're not going to be riding. They're not going to be safe. They're going to be competing to lead this race the entire time. Okay, where are wrecks taking place at? Where are crashes taking place at? Okay, at the front. These guys are going to be at the front. These guys have a high likelihood to be involved in a crash, right? A great example is like this third lineup, right? So we have, chalk play, somewhat like, and then the one-off is Britain Queen, right? Who doesn't have a lot of experience, so on and so forth, but still has the same likelihood of wrecking out as Corey LaJoy or whatever, right? We go down quite a lot, and we're looking at like different lineups and stuff, and it's still, 1v1s and flipping, because based on, where they should finish, based on their skill, based on their car, like these are just the good guys. These are just the good lineups and stuff, right? You don't want to play these lineups for this race, right? Like the way that I build lineups for this is I build lineups based on where guys should finish if they're not involved in a crash. Okay, that means it shows a lot of chalk guys doing well. I then look at the lineups that are most likely going to be played based on, the chalk coming through, based on guys finishing where they should. And I'm like, okay, cool. This field, the field that I'm playing against, is going to be playing these types of lineups because they look good on paper. My stuff shows that. SaberSim shows that. Okay, how do I get different? I just don't play those lineups and then hope those guys are involved in crashes. And actually, after looking, let me redo this, because I had already input some of my stuff, because I was working on this as I was talking through stuff. I'm doing this just to look at, and yet again, since I'm hand building lineups right now, I just have the and I broke SaberSim. That's nice. I took out these lineups. It's just showing the 131 here, and these are all the ones I'm in. I want to build really quick. Yet again, DFS is getting an idea of what is the field that you're playing against going to do, right? So let's build lineups. I have my contest in, so this would actually be a good thing to look at. What is, if you're not familiar with this stuff, if you're new to these races, whatever, and you just ran stuff, what are you getting? What is the public getting? What lineups are you building, right? Like whatever. So let's go ahead and see, because these are my lineups that are showing as the best, which I don't want to play any of these, because each of these drivers have a very high likelihood to be involved in a wreck. When we look at, yes, realistically, I mean, Stenhouse should finish top 10 based on his skill level. These guys should finish very well, but you see on how bad, like, you want to play the guys who are looking bad here, because realistically they shouldn't be finishing anywhere near the top because they're so bad, because these guys are so good that in the data they are showing to finish very well, whereas you really want to focus on guys who are not looking like they're going to perform very well. So let's see what is going on over here, dog. What is going on over here, my main man? So let's see what SaberSim would give me without me going and changing anything, because that's probably what people are going to run with. And why are we not updating this? What in the tar nation is going on here, dog? We'll even run the Sims too. Who even cares? We're just trying to get an idea of who's going to be played, right? It's all on, or it's all about having an idea of what the field is going to do. So let's just run again and see what is being projected here. Now this is 131 lineups here. So let's see if I were to change nothing, what is a potential good look at what the field would play, right? While this loads, yet again, same thing backwards, right? Like, if these are lineups that are projecting good that I'm not playing on just other races, like next week at Atlanta, I want to play these lineups, intermediates, road courses. I want to play the lineups that my stuff is showing me to play. I just don't want to play them at a plate race like this where everybody has a chance to wreck out. So let's just see really fast, right? Before I haven't changed a goddamn thing. I haven't moved anything at all. What is SaberSim telling me to play, right? It's having me go overweight on the chalk. Okay? We look at the starting positions of where everybody is at, right? Not really playing anybody in the top, playing, the better guys up front, not playing Cletus, not playing Travis. And then you get farther back, you look at the back of the field. Huge percent on Mini, huge percent on Lane Riggs, huge percent on Daniel Hemrick, huge percent on Stenhouse, Andres, Ben Rhodes, right? Who's not being played? The guys that aren't being played, play those guys, right? That's that's kind of how you approach these races, man. We got an hour 30 before the race starts. I think I've covered about everything. Did I miss anything in Discord? I don't think so. I missed anything there. Let me see. I see that my IDs were uploaded incorrectly for whatever reason, but I have my IDs here. I'm not streaming this one anymore. Why are my IDs like not pulling right? That's really weird. I don't know why the IDs and the slide ID was wrong on PayDirt as well, because I just uploaded the direct thing from DraftKings. That's weird.
Yo, I'm crashing your stream.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sup. So there were some issues on ID stuff in the portfolio manager specifically.
Okay.
And that was on download from the database. I went in and fixed that. I had to write in each one manually. There's this thing that happened for some reason, first time ever. I think it's because there's drivers that are on different races in short terms.
Yes.
Yeah. So that happened with PGA this morning with Showdown as well, because there's a PGA Showdown and then a late Showdown. And I'm not used to guys being available for both on one day. So
got you.
But and then, I also want to do a quick show off of the portfolio manager for a lot of things you had just talked about.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I think that there will be plenty of people that can ask, like, oh, well, can I do the same things in the portfolio manager? And yes, probably, but we'll find out. So I'm gonna share my screen here really quick.
Yeah, go ahead, because that'll allow me to build my lineups.
Yeah, there you go.
So that'll work out perfect.
So I'm gonna load this with a minimum salary used of what do you think, Brandon? 35K or 40K?
Min salary?
Yeah.
20,000. Just open it wide up.
Sure. And then I'm going to go ahead and load those up. So just loading everything from the database as usual, and then go over to manage portfolio. So one of the things that he was talking about was making sure that he didn't have all those guys in the top, right, of the starting spot. So you said that you wanted to do nobody above the 14th spot, right?
Yeah, that's probably what I'll do.
So what you can do, I added this function yesterday, the stat min max filtering. We're going to keep lineups with equal to 0 based on grid below 15. So what this is saying is we're only going to keep lineups that have guys who are above the 14th spot in the grid. So I'm going to do that. And then that's going to remove a whole bunch of lineups. And then the other thing that I would do for people who are doing this on their own is then go stratify by diversity. Now, one of the things that you had mentioned is that you didn't want a large exposure to guys on this race, right? Like you kind of want to more spread it out a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would do with that is I would go to diversity, and instead of doing the sample range 0 to 100, because what that'll do is that'll say, here is the lineups that are very similar to each other, and then lineups that are nothing like the rest of the lineups that you uploaded. I just want to try to go with lineups that are more different, right? Like this is still lineups that are playable, right? Because they're excluding those grid guys, they're high projections, all that kind of stuff. But now we're going to go only lineups that are at least in the 50th percentile of being different. So I'm going to grab 150 of those, run it through, and then we can take a look at like what the player exposures are and how that would look, right? So we still end up getting like 70% Ricky Stenhouse. But if we look at those lineups with Ricky Stenhouse, let's go ahead and do some combo analysis here. We can see who the players that are most paired with him are. So Haley, Riggs, LaJoy, Nemchek, all the guys that you mentioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like all of those dudes. So if we wanted to try to get away from that, I'm going to guess that those are going to be the ones that are way higher owned, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go ahead and reset this back to default. Go back here. I'm going to do the same thing. And actually, I should probably save this as a new base setting. Remove top grids. Save that so we can just reset to there if we don't like what we see. So let's now go with stratification again. And let's just say weighted ownership. And let's say in the lower ranges, like let's say nothing above the 50th percentile in weighted ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look, I mean, I thought that it would be appropriate for me to crash a NASCAR stream, right? Like that's kind of funny. That's kind of funny. All right, so now let's go take a look at what players we get here. Okay, so still a whole bunch of Stenhouse, but the ownership is low enough that these lineups are still positive edge, right? So like we look through these and all the lineups that I got here are going to be positive edge. They're still going to be low dupes. Like these have enough weird guys in them that we're not getting basically anything that's negative edge here, which is really, really nice. We're also limiting our dupes. You know, we have lineups that are like 45.8. We have lineups that are 46.3. So those are just a couple ways that I would go about trying to avoid those high concentration combos of the guys that you were talking about, right? Because that's really the name of the game with NASCAR and with other sports that are like this, where there's high variance amongst guys who are correlated. We just want to make sure that we manage our combinations. It's not necessarily about fading those guys, to me, right? Like I think that it's probably fine. Oh, hey, there's my child. And he stole the arms of the dinosaur. For everybody who doesn't know, this is my child. Oh, and this is my wife. Look, it's Valentine's Day, so everybody is crashing the stream here.
Let's go.
Anyway, this is how I would do things in Portfolio Manager, to talk through and kind of show the things that you were talking about. Managing duplications, managing combos. The guys who project well, like it's still fine to have the guys that project well. We just want to make sure that we don't have them all together. Like get some differences, get some relative value, do your things. And that's how I would do it in the Portfolio Manager. So yeah. Anyway.
No, and I mean that's I'm glad that you did that walkthrough. And I want to say that I think this will be much more impactful for those that are watching when you do it for the 500 on Sunday, because the contest today is 11,000, and I think doing this for the Sunday race to where there shouldn't be as much there shouldn't be like as much hardcore chalk. Should help you get diversified pretty well. For Sunday's race.
Absolutely. Maybe one more thing that I guess that I could show really quick. You can go back to remove top grids. And this top grid's like this is called a plate race. Is that what you said? This is a plate race?
Yeah, plate, super speedway. It just means that the field is bunched up together. There's not a lot of separation between the cars.
Okay. So with this kind of race, I'd imagine that like very frequently, if you're in the portfolio manager, you just want to start by removing top grid guys. And save like a base setting, like just save that as a new setting like I did with remove top grids. That way you can always reset back to that as you're kind of fumbling around and figuring out how you want to stratify and all that kind of stuff. The only other thing I wanted to show really quick was if we stratified it by diversity with these, and we take a look at the lineups that are much lower or much higher diversity, these are the ones where you're going to see like these lineups are much different and don't have all of those guys together, right? Like we have Riggs, we have Stenhouse, but like it's very unlikely that we're going to have, more than 3 or 4 of these guys together in any given lineup with high diversity. If you look at the low diversity side of this, you get Stewart, LaJoie, Nemechek, Friesen, Stenhouse, and Hemrick. And like this lineup is going to be like Giga Chalk. This one right here with projected for 16 dupes is like, just don't fucking play this. Don't play this lineup, and you have a negative edge on it anyway. So like you can filter that out pretty easily. But I did just want to show really quick that if you wanted to use high diversity, you could absolutely just use high diversity and have those like quote unquote min uniques. That's how I handle min uniques in the portfolio manager. So anyway, I just wanted to show the things from the portfolio manager. And I will let you get back to your thing.
No, thank you for hopping on, and thank you for helping me work on my projections in order for people to use this stuff.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to go hang out with my child. I'll talk to you guys later.
See you. Thank you for joining, James. And see, that's why I like being here with James. I mean, he can come in, and show people how to use everything. I mean, everybody involved with PayDirt is extremely, extremely smart and knowledgeable about all of this stuff, especially from a build perspective that I just don't see. Am I getting interrupted? I thought I was. I think that was the dog trying to tear the door down. Making sure I'm not sharing my screen because I'm actually building my lineups right now, which I just don't want to give those away. I think that's mainly it. I can't think of anything else to do. I will say that I think, like I said, I just think this race is going to be pretty crazy. And if you're new to NASCAR and you've never been in anything like this before, I think it'd be better for you to kind of not throw a ton of money at it and kind of see how everything works out. I want to see one last thing here. Is the 10 full? Okay, so the 10 is filled. Is there a second contest before I end this stream? Trucks. We have a new $10 contest, 2K to first, 1,100 people, 35 max entry, pays 25% of the field. That's not too bad. Okay, so now that we've had roughly 3 examples of the lineups that people are going to run, I think I might enter this secondary $10 contest and everything because I think there's just incredible leverage on just not playing the chalk plays and just hoping the volatility falls in my favor. Any other last minute comments? I don't see anything. Throwing it back. That was funny. James's crash ticket crashed. That's so funny. We both have. I'm pretty sure my stepson will probably do the exact same thing at some point this year. Throwing it back. Who's most likely down the track today? I would really like anybody. I don't want to put myself in a cage and root for 1 or 2 people. Stewart. I mean, I saw somebody mention the Stewart shirt. All my Stewart stuff is still in boxes in the attic. I was frantically looking for Stewart shirts today, and this is the only one I could find. But hopefully it's Stewart. That'd be really, really cool. Yeah, I don't. There's not anything else to talk about. We are an hour or so away from the slate. Hour and 20 minutes. So I think I'm going to leave you guys there. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Best of luck in this race. It's going to be a heck of an event. Even if they don't wreck, a lot of big names. I just don't know how they don't, man. There's so many. This is like a wet dream for the field that we have in this race. So many people I like in this event. It's just, dude, this is good. This is the best race of the week. It's this race, ARCA, Xfinity, and then the 500. In terms of enjoyment for me. So I will. I'll call it there. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.